What's up, everybody? We are live. I want to give just a minute here for others to join in. Jump out there and share with your friends. Tonight we're going to be talking about the 4 pillars of the Christian music artist. And I think it's going to be pretty cool. But let me give just a minute here for a few more to log in. Hey Leslie, hey Jessica, saw you there. Rackman, saw you there. Dixie, howdy Dixie. Hi Tamala. That's my wife Tamala. So how do y'all like my moving logo thing on the front of our web page there? Pretty cool. That's at McLaughlinmusicgroup.com. Yep, here I am. I'm inside this time. I was outside last time I broadcast, but I am inside this time. Hope you all are doing well. And so today, as I promised, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of the Christian music artist. But before I jump in there, I want to give a chance for maybe a couple more to jump on. This has been a busy week so far. As you know, most of you know that I also have a radio promotion division, A-Sides radio promotion, and yesterday we released a song for Erskine Anavatarte out of Nashville, Tennessee. He is quite an artist, and you guys got to look him up. If you go to erskinemusic.com, check out his music. We released a song a few months ago called Do What You Gotta Do, and a very cool story behind that song, and we got some significant airplay on Way FM, which is really cool, plus another 100 and some odd radio outlets on top of that. So really good results with this song. I was pleased. But yesterday we released a song called Black and White. Very good inspo song. It talks about the segregation, in churches, and it's a really cool song. You got to check that out. And then today, I'm excited about this. We released another song that's the first song we've released for this band. They are known as the Union of Sinners and Saints. This band consists of members from Petra and Whiteheart. You bring those 2 bands together and merge them together, smudge them together, and that's what you get. You get the Union of Sinners and Saints. It's John Schlitt on vocals. It's Billy Smiley on guitar. As you know, John Schlitt was the lead vocalist for Petra all those years. Billy Smiley was the guitarist and the primary songwriter for Whiteheart all those years. And then there's Anthony Sally on bass. He was the bass player for Whiteheart back in the day. We got Jason Fowler. He's a new artist that's out in the Christian realm anyway. He's been out before that, but when he switched over to the Christian side of things after he became a Christian, he joined this band too. So really cool stuff there. So you got to check him out. And so this band, the Union of Sinners and Saints, they had Whiteheart had a #1 radio hit from back in the day, known as Independence Day. I don't know if any of y'all remember that. Maybe you're too young for that. I don't know, but Independence Day was the #1 hit for radio at radio for Whiteheart. But this new version that they just recorded has John Schlitt on the lead vocals, and it is killer. It is so good. Such a great song. It's called Independence Day by Union of Sinners and Saints. So be sure and watch out for that. Really cool song coming to radio. Was released just today to radio. So very excited about that. Okay, so today I wanted to talk just a little bit about the 4 pillars of the Christian music artist, and it's just going to be more or less an introduction today to let you know how we break this down. Back when I started in management, back in 2004 is when we started McLaughlin Music Group as a management company. I had done a lot of consulting. I had done band management, but I hadn't really done artist management. I was fairly new at it at that point in 2004. So everything was kind of by trial and error and moving forward from there. So everything was, started here at the top of the circle, and then it became more complicated, more and more things that became involved with artist management that I learned. I made a lot of mistakes early on, and have learned what to do, what not to do. And so then it came down here, and we were starting to learn how to correct those issues and things, and get into the different ways of promoting an artist, different ways of getting them gigs, how to sell merch, things like this, all the things, getting endorsements, all the things that were necessary for the Christian music artist. So then, once it got pretty complicated and all these things came around, then I kind of came back up to the top of the circle again. I tried to break it down. Hey, Chris, how are you? Crystal Padilla, good to see you. So it got back up to the top, and so I tried to break these down into what I call the 4 pillars of the Christian music artist. And everything really fits into that. Now, of course, when you're talking about the Christian music artist, you've got the ministry side. Ministry comes first in all that we do. And if that's not the way it is, it's the way it should be. Ministry is always first, and then business is second. But what I'm doing is I'm breaking down the business side of the 4 pillars of the Christian music artist into 4 things. So the number 1 thing is product, okay? And you might want to write these down. I love getting a pen or a pencil and writing them down. It can help you remember it a lot better, and then you can add it, on digitally on your phone or whatever later. Type it out on your word processor or whatever later. So the number 1 thing, of course, is product. Okay, and we'll go a little bit more in detail about what that is. The number 2 thing is distribution. How to get the product to the consumer. The third thing is marketing and promotion. That's the number 3 thing. Okay, and stop it, Rack Man. Silly. This is not Erskine Anavatarte, by the way. This is the real me. It's the real Jeff McLaughlin. So we got number 1 is product. Number 2 is distribution. Number 3 is marketing and promotion. And then number 4 is getting shows or getting ministry opportunities or whatever. It's getting in front of the people and singing your songs in front of the people. Back in the day when I was playing in bands and out on the road, we call them getting gigs. Now if you mention getting gigs, people think you're trying to increase the space on your computer. Instead, so now we call them getting shows. That's the big term now. So that's the big thing. So let's talk about product. First thing, what is the product? The product is the artist themselves. Anything, anytime you get in front of a person and you're singing in front of that person and they love what you do, they're going to want to take you home with them, but they can't do that. So you have to have product. You have to have merchandise, so that they can take that home with you. So the product, of course, is going to be the artist, is going to be the songs, is going to be the music project, with CDs and digital, and then it's going to be other merchandise, a lot of things that I see people selling on their merch table. T-shirts is a huge item. Every merch table should have T-shirts on them, and we've tried fancy designs and putting pictures on there and things like this, but the things I see that sell the most is lyric shirts, which is kind of cool. Meredith Kinley has a new lyric shirt out. I think it simply says, "Keep on riding with the wind," which is a tag or a line out of her song "Sail On" that did so well at radio. And so that's a pretty cool lyric shirt. So those lyric shirts seem to sell more than the other fancy photos and fancy graphics and things like that. The lyric shirts are easy to do, cool fonts, and print them up. You could do a bunch of those and they sell very well. I've seen a lot of people put on their merch table jewelry, cross necklaces, cross earrings, just different kinds of jewelry. I've even know of one person that goes out and collects old jewelry and cleans it up from garage sales and stuff, and then sells them on their merch table. Old vintage type jewelry and that kind of thing. It's of course the obvious thing is autographed photos and posters. And the best place that I have seen, and if anybody knows of a better place to get these, you can let me know. But the best pricing I have seen, bracelets are great too, which goes along with jewelry. But one of the best places that I've seen is stickersandmore.com. They have a pretty cool T-shirt, a pretty good pricing on a T-shirt. They have a special is what I'm trying to think. Their internet web special that they always have, where you can get like 24 or 48, like 2 or 4 dozen T-shirts for pretty inexpensive, like less than $6 a shirt. And those things sell for 10 to 15 bucks a piece, and it's a good way to bring some funds in. Very good way. And then one thing I like to do is keep everything in $5 increments, so it's much easier to do upsells. That's very important. Another thing I see people do is kids grab bags. You can go to Wish, which is an app, or Geek is another app, and you can get stuff real cheap, and for $1 plus $1 shipping, and sell them for $5 or something like that. You could also go to Oriental Trading Company, find their website on the internet, and you can buy things for cents on the dollar by getting them in bulk. Get a couple of dozen or 100 at a time or something like that, and you can fill up these grab bags for kids for $5. And has rings and necklaces and little bubbles that they blow and things like this. So it's just cool things like that they can make up for. My wife said I'm talking way too fast, but the cool thing about this is you can play it back as many times as you want to take notes. So anywho, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the indie artists. One thing I want to go into more later, we might, on the next one, we'll probably talk a little bit more about breaking down development and things like that for the artist. And let's talk about the two different types of indie artists. There are two different types. There's the indie artist that does everything for themselves. They feel it's very important that they do everything themselves, and that's really good. That's cool, but more times than not, you're going to end up with a product that's subpar. And if you're really wanting to expand your reach in the audience, in the if you want to go national, or even farther beyond that, the indie artist that does everything for themselves, it's going to be tough to really get good quality. The person that tries to produce the song themselves, the person that tries to do all their own graphic design. If you're a graphic art, designer by trade, then that's a different story. You should be doing it for yourself and for others, So, plus we all have this goon on demand. Yeah. Is that what you mean to say, goon on demand? Anyway, it's only for 24 hours and then it deletes. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this and save this. I'm going to put it on YouTube and also put it on my blog. So you'll be able to see it later, anytime you want, because it'll be a part of my blog at McLaughlinmusicgroup.com. All right, and so the other artist, though, is the indie artist that recognizes the need for professional producers, replicators, etc. One of the things that's so important to me that you cannot budge on. It's good to do your own demos in-house if you want, but when it comes time to do to produce, if you're doing pop or worship or acoustic, or you're doing anything, just about anything, one of my favorite artists out there, of course, I saw him log on here a while ago. I don't know if he's still on there or not, but Sean Hill out of Atlanta is one of the most killer, just incredible producer. He's up and coming. He's young. He's extremely tall, which has nothing to do with it, but you know, he's larger than life, and he's very pleasant to work with, and he's a nut. Yeah, he is the best. He produced Leslie Woods. He produced Meredith Kinley. He will be producing likely Jessica Tatum. So many others, you know, out there that Dixie Harden. We're getting ready to go in and record with him 2 songs, and man, I can't wait for you to hear those 2 songs. Phenomenal, good stuff. And then, you know, if you really want the rock producer, you know, my choice for rock, of course, in producers is Tony Palacios. He's just phenomenal, and you know, he was the guy that was back. Leslie Woods is pretty good too. As a producer, I don't think so. I don't think she's a good producer, but yeah, she is very clueless, though, I heard. But anyway, so Tony Palacios was with Guardian back in the day. He's produced bands, you know, like Decipher Down. He's produced other artists. Building 429 helped them get signed, and et cetera, et cetera. So he's a phenomenal producer. If you like that big wall of guitar sounds with the in-your-face vocals, you know, for rock, Tony Palacios is the man. So that's very good. So these guys, we're talking, you know, recognizable artists in the industry that are just phenomenal, but they're very reasonable in price. You know, you can go to other producers. I can sit here and name producers all day that charge $3,500 to $5,000 to $7,000. You know, but if you want to stay in the $2,000 to $2,500 area, you know, I would highly recommend Sean Hill and Tony Palacios. And then if that doesn't work out, if they're too booked up or too busy, holler at me. I know other producers too that are good, but again, those 2 are probably my choice producers, you know. So, and then other things, of course, you know, you can burn your own CDs in your, you know, and send them out, but to really get a good price on everything, it's best to use a replicator and to get 1,000, you know, to do 1,000. So anyway, there are so many things that I want to discuss on this topic. The next time we come around, I want to talk more about the business setup, you know, the legal setup. We're still going to be on point 1, you know, the first pillar, which is product, you know, but I want to talk about fundraising. It takes money to do all of this. And, you know, I want to talk to you about corporate sponsors. I don't think Meredith will mind me talking about this. If she does, I'll go ahead and do this and ask for forgiveness later rather than asking for permission. So anyway, I think, you know, corporate sponsors is the way to go. Crowdfunding is good, you know, but I'm going to talk about corporate sponsors. I'm just going to tell you this to give you a little bit of insight into what we're going to be talking about next time we come around. But the one thing that she did with corporate sponsors, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we did that, you know, so you can get some good ideas for that. But she, between her CD, you know, a 5-song EP actually, she had a very well done music video done. And then she did a tour with Jason Crabb in February for 7 dates, and then she did a tour with Cutlass and Seventh Time Down in March for 17 dates. She's going to Atlanta Fest. She's doing her own tour in August and probably into September. I'm not sure how long that tour is going to last yet, but we're working on that right now. But you can imagine all of this costs money. You know, the total dollar figure was over $30,000, over $30,000, and this was for everything combined on her budget. It was a large ticket thing, you know, and it takes that to get the best. It really does. But I want you to know that not 1 cent of that came out of her pocket. Had she done crowdfunding, honestly, she probably would have had a little bit of a hard time with crowdfunding, you know, and that's like with what's the crowdfunding names out there? The Indiegogo and what's the big one? Somebody tell me that. Yeah, somebody here Help me out. Kickstarter, yeah, that's it. Thank you, Leslie. Kickstarter is the big one. And so there's Indiegogo, then there's others. There's GoFundMe and all kinds of crowdfunding type platforms. Now, you got to have a huge audience for that to work. John Schlitt can go out and do that and raise every dime he needs because he's got a huge audience. Sherry Kagan can do that and raise every dime she needs. Crystal Lewis has done it and raised every dime she needs. You know, and Scott, my mind's going blank now. I need some more coffee. But Scott Wesley Brown is the one that's right now in the midst of a fundraising campaign for his new album that's coming out. So that's going to be a great album and everything. So what makes that happen though is these people have been major level artists and they've had fans all along in huge platforms. You know, but Meredith Kinley, on the other hand, you know, she's in a smaller community, Roanoke Rapids, Virginia, which is a very small town, and then she's in what seems like a large church for that area, but when you look, I think it's somewhere probably around maybe 300 or 400 members, maybe it's 200. I don't remember. She can correct me on that later, but it's not a large church, and if she tried to do just a Kickstarter campaign to raise, you know, 10, 15, 20 here and there, she never would have raised that much money. You know, it would have been tough. So she had to go for the corporate sponsors. So that is very important. I can explain to you a little bit more about how that works on the next one, you know. So there are so many other things that you can do for fundraising that's really cool. And so we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about, you know, the songs. We'll talk about the music project, and we'll talk about you know, we talked a little bit about the merchandise now, and if I get some more insight onto where to look to get some good merch, you know, we can fill that in next week too. But next time we get together, I want to finish the first pillar of the Christian music artist. The first pillar being the product, okay? And then we'll move on the following time after next. We'll get into distribution. That won't take long because there's not much to distribution anymore like there used to be. You know, I just tell you that. We're going to talk about how the distribution has changed and how it's affected the label system. And then we're going to talk about marketing and promotion and how important that is now. And then we're going to talk about getting gigs, getting shows, ministry opportunities, how to get on stage in front of people. That's the ultimate thing. So what's important to note, though, is all four of these pillars have to be very strong. If one of them is weak, it's not going to work. It's just, you have to be strong in all of this. You know, getting gigs is important. Getting gigs is very important. However, if you don't get out there and have merchandise to sell at your gigs, the gigs you get may not pull in a lot of money. You know, it just may not pull in a lot of money. So it's going to be important for you to go out there and to have a merch table that's set up properly and to have plenty of those. You know, and on my blog, I may come back and take a few samples of some that I've taken, you know, pictures I've taken over the you know, the years and post a few on there that I've taken of merch to give you ideas of how to set them up. You know, the banners up behind them is really good and everything. And then I'll talk about with the corporate sponsors how we can incorporate, you know, that and everything. It's going to be it's going to be very important that we jump in on the next one, you know, that you see that, you know, so very important. So next week, the primary thing we're going to talk about is the business setup, the legal aspects and how to get set up there. And then we're going to talk about fundraising, very important. And then we're going to talk about, you know, the rest of the development for the artist, the other things you can do to really, you know, enhance what you do. And then we're going to talk about songs and the music project, you know, and you know, what's most important there. All right. So I hope you all have enjoyed what we have here so far. Yeah, a lot of these are probably, a lot of people are probably looking at this and going, you know what? I've heard this before. But there may be something here that you hear that might be helpful. I hope so. I have a feeling, though, that by the time I get through all four of these pillars, that there's going to be something here that will be very beneficial for you. And so I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go save this to YouTube on my YouTube channel at McLaughlin Music Group. And then, so if you look up McLaughlin Music Group on YouTube, you'll be able to see this tonight. I'll save this and I'll put it up there. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll go to McLaughlinMusicGroup.com and I'll post this as a blog, as a video blog, and then maybe after that I'll post some of the merch tables so you can see some of the stuff there. Okay, all right. Well, thank you all for coming around, and I hope it was beneficial. I think you're going to see some things that'll help you. And if you have questions, please email me, McLaughlinMusicGroup@gmail.com, or you can go to McLaughlinMusicGroup.com and contact me through there and send in any questions you have, and I'll try to answer them. We may have a session, after this is all said and done. You might write your questions down, get them to me. I want to collect the questions, and then we'll do a session at the end after all of this is done to talk, about your questions and try to get some answers to those. I don't know all of the answers, but I probably know someone that does, so, I've got a few connections and got a pretty good team of people behind me. Got a really good publicist out of Nashville. I've got a new guy that's in California by name of Drewzer. His name is really Drew McLaughlin, and he happens to be my nephew, but he's going to be working for the radio promotion side of what we do. Yeah, there he is with his sunglasses on. Good to see you, Drew. So he's going to be the one calling the stations, so that it gives me more time to do things like this to help independent Christian music artists, things like that. So I'm really excited about that, to have him on board. We still have Ann Cox, is another lady that's our artist. She's our A&R lady that does all of our A&R stuff for the McLaughlin Music Group side of things, for the management group. And then we have three ladies that work on the administrative side of things, with web applications, setting up radio promotion pages for the radio stations to see and to download, and then just so much more. There's three ladies though. Rosie, I'll just tell you their first names. Rosie, Josie. That really is two different people, two different ladies. Rosie and Josie, and then Emmy Lou are their names. Really, they've been with me. One of them just started about a month and a half ago, but the other two have been with me for about 2 years. Rosie, Josie, and Emmy Lou. Rosie is the new one, and she is a killer person when it comes to web applications and doing new websites and things like this. Just phenomenal. Okay, but so we have quite a good team here of people helping us, and then we have quite an incredible group of artists. We just signed some new artists. I don't know, I haven't seen any of the guys from Strangers and Heroes on here, but those are, not only are they pranksters and just flat out nuts from East Texas, but they have some killer rock stuff that we're going to be pitching to radio soon. Strangers and Heroes, I love them. I got to tell you a funny story, and then I'll let you go. But we send the contract out to an artist or a band whenever we've made an offer for we've made an offer for management, to manage an artist for a certain term. And so I told him, I said, I want to make sure you're 100%. Don't sign the contract unless you're 100% you want to be on board. So, but the way that they say, most artists or bands will call me, or they'll send me a letter, of acceptance, or they'll call with 100 questions before they accept, and then they accept, And so, but what was funny is they sent me a video, and it was hilarious because they did a song. It was a parody, a karaoke song, I Believe I Can Fly. But instead of I Believe I Can Fly, they changed the words to I Believe I Can Sign. And perhaps I will post that on my blog sometime for you to see too. It's pretty funny. It is so funny. And if you guys are watching, I don't know if you're on here, maybe you'll see this on the replay or whatever, but make sure you don't take that down because I want to share it with everybody. It's going to be fun. All right, so we've been here for 30 minutes, 32 minutes, and I'm going to try to keep this down to 30 minutes. So until next time, hope you all had fun today, and we'll try to, come back on next week, maybe around this time, and do part 2 of this, which is actually still in part 1, pillar number 1. I think it's going to be very helpful. All right. Bless you guys. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.